Most people are uncomfortable with silence. When the noise stops, they feel exposed. They rush to speak, explain, justify, or fill the space with words, anything to escape the pressure of stillness. But a small group of people reacts differently. They don't rush. They don't explain. They don't compete for attention. They stay silent, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand something most people don't. Silence is not empty. It is strategic. In conversations, in conflicts, in rooms full of noise, the silent person is often the most difficult to control. Not because they are aggressive or dominant, but because they are internally anchored. They don't react on command. They don't give emotional access easily. And that lack of access makes others uneasy. This video explores the psychology behind people who stay silent and why systems, manipulators, and insecure personalities struggle to influence them. If you value clarity over chaos and depth over performance, subscribe to Quiet Power. This channel isn't about speaking louder. It's about seeing deeper. Stay until the end, because silence doesn't just protect power. It builds it. Silence is often misunderstood as passivity, but psychologically, it is one of the strongest positions a person can take. When someone stays silent, they remove themselves from the emotional rhythm of the environment. They are no longer reacting to stimuli in real time. Instead, they observe. And observation is power. Most people unconsciously reveal themselves through speech. Their fears leak through tone. Their insecurities surface through over-explanation. Their desire for validation shows in how quickly they respond. But silence interrupts this process. When a person doesn't immediately speak, others begin projecting. They assume intentions. They fill the gap with their own narratives. And in doing so, they expose themselves. Psychologically, silence slows the interaction. It breaks predictability. Humans are conditioned to expect response, feedback, emotional mirroring. When those signals don't arrive, discomfort rises. That discomfort is not weakness, it's loss of control. The silent person is no longer being guided by external pressure. Silence also signals internal certainty. People who doubt themselves feel compelled to explain. People who trust themselves don't. They allow their presence to speak. This doesn't mean they are emotionless. It means their emotions are regulated. And emotional regulation is one of the hardest traits to manipulate. Control relies on urgency, on reaction, on emotional escalation. Silence removes urgency. It stretches time. And when time slows, power shifts. Excessive talking is rarely confidence. It is often fear disguised as expression. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being ignored. Fear of losing relevance. People speak loudly when they are afraid silence will expose something they haven't made peace with. Psychologically, noise creates safety for insecure minds. It distracts from internal discomfort. It fills the mental space where doubt would otherwise appear. Silence, on the other hand, forces confrontation with one's thoughts, motives, and emotional state. This is why silence is threatening to controlling personalities. Control depends on emotional hooks: guilt, pressure, urgency, approval. Silence offers none of these. There is nothing to grab onto. No reaction to exploit. No reassurance to extract. The silent person doesn't argue, not because they can't, but because they don't need to. They understand that arguments are often attempts to gain emotional dominance, not truth. By refusing to engage impulsively, they maintain autonomy. In social dynamics, people who speak less are often perceived as more authoritative, not because they dominate conversations, but because when they do speak, it carries weight. Scarcity increases value. Silence creates scarcity. Noise seeks validation. Silence already has it. Manipulation requires predictability. It relies on knowing how someone will respond emotionally. Anger, guilt, excitement, fear. The silent individual disrupts this entirely. Their emotional responses are delayed or invisible. And that delay creates uncertainty. Uncertainty makes manipulators nervous. They depend on quick feedback. They need to know whether their tactic worked. Silence gives no confirmation. It forces them to reveal more, push harder, expose intent. Silence also blocks emotional contagion. When someone raises their voice, becomes dramatic, or tries to provoke, they expect emotional resonance. Silence absorbs the energy without reflecting it back. And energy without feedback collapses. This is why calm people often appear intimidating. Not because they are aggressive, but because they are unreadable. And what can't be read can't be easily controlled. The silent person chooses when to respond, if at all. That choice alone is power. It keeps them centered, while others orbit emotionally around them. Silence is not a tactic. It is an identity rooted in self-trust. People who stay silent are not suppressing themselves. They are selective. They understand that not every thought deserves expression, and not every situation deserves access to their inner world. Quiet power is built through internal alignment. Values over validation, clarity over noise, presence over performance. These individuals don't need to convince others of who they are. They let consistency do the work. Over time, silence reshapes identity. It trains patience. It sharpens perception. It builds emotional independence. And emotional independence is the foundation of freedom. When you no longer need to react, explain, or defend, will become difficult to control. Not because you resist, but because you are internally sovereign. You don't need to speak more to be heard. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. You don't need to react to maintain control. Silence isn't weakness. It's alignment. If this resonated, stay with quiet power. We don't chase attention here. We cultivate depth.